Good afternoon. Hope you're doing well. Should be live here on both platforms. All right. Pretty interesting day in the market today. Getting to see a lot more gaps coming through. Question is, will market remain the end all be all as we move into the bulk of earnings season? All right, we'll have to wait and see. Let's go ahead and get started. Good afternoon. This is Ifan from the Strategic Day Trader, and this is your market wrap for February 1st, 2022. Qs up 0.68, SPY also up the same amount, and IWM up almost a 1%. All right. Coming into today, we looked at the range that we broke out of yesterday. And we got a little bit of follow through today. A decent hourly base happening on the Qs here. All right, breaking out, still extended. Would have preferred to have seen a pullback here. Okay. So the plan for me going into tomorrow and really even the day after, most likely, is to remain bullish until we trigger the daily sell setup. Okay, so last time we had a daily sell setup was right here. We have a downtrend, multiple bars up into the declining 20. All right, so that's what's setting up now. It doesn't trigger until we break a previous bar's low, as we did here. If we do get follow through on the daily sell setup, first it'll have to trigger, no longer be bullish at that point. If it gets follow through, then we'll turn bearish, and we'll use that hourly to look for that next sell setup or breakdown. Okay, so does that make sense? We have a little bit of time frame conflict. Notice the hourly here is starting to trend upwards. 20 MA is pointing up while the daily is still pointing down. Now we're also into the 200 and the declining 20, which are going to be coming into intersect here pretty shortly. Okay, so the Qs are moving up into some resistance. Okay. But as long as this hourly remains in this uptrend, then we will stay bullish. Once that breaks, that'll trigger the sell setup on the daily, and then we'll kind of be in a wait and see to see which way follows through, if that sell setup works or fails. All right, so that's the plan. All right, remaining bullish until we get the daily sell setup. All right, let's go over the plays from today. I thought today was a little bit challenging because we had some decent gaps. So while the past couple weeks have been very slow, low aggressiveness because of a lot of low quality plays, today I thought we had some pretty decent gaps. First was the LDI breaking underneath that base, larger time frame, monthly, looking very, very weak, but there was no entry and just got bought. So, okay, that was kind of my favorite gap. Didn't materialize to any kind of short entry. Okay, fine. Next gap, I like this PBI quite a bit. This one did set up. Okay, this one did set up, did give it a shot here. As it broke, it opened late here. Enter under the 2-minute bar there. And then I did an add right here on the sell setup and then ended up failing right there on the sell setup. Okay, on the PBI. Here's the gap. So, you know, I thought this was a pretty good setup. I liked it quite a bit. Thought it was worth a shot here, and just didn't really get to a decent target. I know there's some support here on the weekly, so this probably came into play a little bit, but I was expecting a little bit more from it. All right, so so first, yeah, LDI was the favorite. PBI was the next favorite. So you could already, it seemed like, okay, we got some stuff to work with, but they weren't following through. Fortunately, Sammy called this HLIT, which I piggybacked on just a little bit later than his entry there. He played it earlier off of, I think, under 64. I joined as the low of the day base breakdown. Okay. This I was able to stick with until end of day. Just closed the last quarter here at the end of the day. Got a nice follow through breakdown into lunch to give it a decent target. As already highlighted, the entry was up here. So that was good, but you know, I think still a little bit surprising because the HLIT wasn't I thought as good a gap as some of these others. HLIT still also had some support there to the left. Weekly and monthly have been in an uptrend, so I think this would find some support at some point. And then ends up being, this is the one that ends up being an all-day hold. So I thought that today was a little bit disappointing, and just that I thought there was a lot more potential based on what we had. But the follow through was a little bit disappointing. But hopefully it's a sign of we got better gaps and more things to come. Okay, because I thought today's gaps list was leaps and bounds better than yesterday's gaps list. Some follow through, but I think why, especially when the gap downs are looking really good, is that when the market's kind of chugging higher like it has been the last couple of days, that's what is steering a bunch of other things. Okay, so if market kind of settles down a little bit, maybe goes into a bit of a pause or something like that, then I think maybe the gaps will have a better chance of following through. But who knows? I mean, maybe the market, we get that daily sell set up and it starts to work, and then the gap ups are what we get as the better gap ups, and then they also get pulled down with the market too. So you never really know, and sometimes it's just the market matters more than others. Sometimes most things are on their own page that are good gaps, and on a day like today, I thought there was very few, even though there were some pretty meaningful gaps that we had. LDI, right? Gapping underneath the base, gapping underneath the green bar, but ended up got bought. So, yeah, I find, days like today, I think are, for me, the hardest. There are days where there's not a lot to do. That's fine. My setup's not there. I just wait. But when the setups are there and then they're not really following through, or, the market is still the major focus, I think those days I find to be the most challenging. Okay. Waiting and trying not to settle, that kind of stuff, I think, yeah, for some traders is hard, but I think over time everybody gets better at that, and that's all that it takes is just more time, more experience at identifying, okay, this is for me a good enough quality setup, and this is not, and I have to pass or whatever. Okay, so anyway, hopefully things will start to pick up a little bit more. I probably will go into tomorrow with just a little bit similar aggressiveness today. Today I felt like I was a little bit too aggressive. Like the PBI was actually kind of doing well to start off, and then with the ad is what kind of caused it to be a loss. Because otherwise, if I don't know, trailed it or something here, that actually was okay. But my plan is tomorrow probably about the same aggressiveness. Obviously, not a lot of stuff that I saw really followed through all that well, so there's no reason to up the aggressiveness. But I'm still anticipating that earnings season is underway and that we should be getting more things to do and more decent moves. Okay, so that's what I'll be looking for tomorrow. Hopefully that's what we get, and things continue to kind of ramp up a little bit as this earnings season is really slow to get going. Okay, all right, guys, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a good evening.